They overestimate what they could do in a year. They underestimate what they could do in 5 years.
And that's what you'll see that's indicative of a lot of businesses that reach that hypergrowth.
Welcome to the How It Started podcast. My name is Hiram, and today's guest is a 20-year serial entrepreneur. He took a business from zero to $2.5 million in a year, and then he created a completely new sector with the SEC, and he's currently tokenizing Helium. He's working on a project, BitCove, right? BitCove, they're tokenizing Helium. They're in a $85 million raise at a $2.5 billion valuation. Welcome to the show, Charles. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. Thanks for having me.
So real quick, bro, yesterday when we were talking, you mentioned like, hey, it feels like an overnight success, but it took 20 years to finally get there. Walk me through like when you first started, 18 years old. You didn't go to college. Like, how did you even get in the position to be able to take a company from 0 to 2.5?
I mean, yeah, going all the way back to like 2002, it started with a passion. And I remember I got just so fired up and excited about selling nutritional products that I couldn't really focus on anything else. And I was I tested into Calculus 1, and I was like way more math than I knew how to do. So I signed up for a college prep course coming out of high school, and I'm sitting in the class and reading the book, the professor's going, and it's like calculus, and I could not focus on it at all because I had this burning desire in my head. And so that passion just led me to close my book, stand up, and walk out of the room. And that's the last time I was in a classroom. It's like 18 years old. Wow. Yeah.
And so with that burning desire, because a lot of people have those dreams early on, and then like later, like as they go through life, those dreams die out. Like, what do you feel like is different from you having a dream and actually executing against it, right, and building towards it and not giving up, versus like the people that end up just settling for whatever life brought them?
Well, having small wins lead to momentum, lead to bigger wins, and that keeps you in the game. And there's a lot of hardship along the way. But I think what's kept me as an entrepreneur was first a mindset that I got through personal development, that really saturating myself with personal development, sales training, starting at about 19 years old. That is what flipped my mindset to where I just psychologically became unemployable, and then not having a safety net. So being psychologically unemployable, not being able to say I can just go work a job or something, and having a taste of success from even a younger age, always being an entrepreneur from like my early teens. So understanding that profits are better than wages, and knowing that that was going to be the path, that's what kept me in the game, and always looking for the way to stay afloat and keep going, knowing that from a young age that if it was going to be is up to me, and if I stopped, I failed. And there's like, it's like walking a tightrope wire as an entrepreneur, and there's no safety net. And so that having to overcome whatever challenge, that there wasn't another option.
Yeah. And who introduced you to like personal development?
Wild enough, I was building a network marketing company right out of high school, and built up a big sales team and didn't know anything, or not even a sales team, just customer base, not even knowing anything about it. And the company said, well, you got a lot of volume happening here. And they sent down some sales trainers to train, and they were teaching this is back, we had VHSs.
Yeah,
okay?
You got to pop the
tape.
VHS in.
This is like pre-DVDs. That's how long ago this was. And I was just like, there's skills behind this. There's lessons. There's training behind what we're doing, and that got me hooked. And then I was able to get the tapes, cassette tapes and VHSs, and that started me down this path.
You were burning them, huh?
Yeah,
you were making copies
for sure. No,
how
my
could it? How
goodness.
could it?
No, we went even further than that. We had as we started growing the team, I had 2 10-stack DVD burners, and we were ordering in 1,000 discs at a time. We were burning discs and getting out there. We actually got in a lot of trouble for that. Not personal development materials, but actually educational for the products that we were selling. And yeah, we actually had the Attorney General of Texas come and basically, but it was a great compliance lesson too.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
getting
Bro.
called into the corporate office, and we're young. I'm like not even, maybe
guys?
20 years old, and they sent us these inch pack cease and desist, like stop what you're doing, and sitting in. You got 12 corporate attorneys in there, basically educating us, and that was free education of what to do, what not to do in terms of compliance for selling nutritional products and building.
Yeah. You wore all these different hats: distribution, fulfillment, sales, marketing, right, for your company. What did having all these different roles like teach you in the ventures that came after that?
Yeah, like you were saying, it's like, to be able to take an idea now and go from good idea to cash flow and do it in a rapid amount of time, it comes from a couple decades of experience wearing every single hat and always being enthusiastic about learning something new. So from beginning distributor to master distributor to software, learning about software engineering, learning about how things work behind the scenes, and being able to gain that information, have a level of success, and then be invited in to consult. So by just providing value, going into big organizations where these guys got skyscrapers and Fortune 50 companies, and we're going in there with a unique skill set, but simultaneously learning what's going on there. And it just comes from doing it. And one of my number one rules is show up. Just like we just got connected. It's like show up. And I was talking to somebody on the phone call up here. I go, well, I haven't done a lot of podcasts. And just like a stand-up comedian, you got to get up and do a bunch and kind of earn your stripes and pay your dues. And what that leads to is a compounded amount of knowledge. So knowing a little bit about a lot, and then a good idea comes in, and you're able to take from all those experiences and go from what looks like an overnight success, but be able to do that over and over and over again, knowing that you've got the reputation, the network, the experience, and a little bit about a lot. And then you can find the teammates. And recruiting the right people is you've got to speak different languages. All these different industries. There's probably a whole language to podcasting I don't know anything about, but I'll figure it out. And then when you sit down with a professional podcaster, you know enough to earn their trust, earn their respect, and then you can do something together big.
Yeah, absolutely. So, bro, that's a great point. So 0 to 2.5 mil. Walk me through like the first 90 days. What does that type of success require in the beginning?
Yeah, and the programs can go far bigger than that. Yeah. But it really starts with being really intentional. So you don't just trip and fall into a multiple 7-figure business. It starts with having an intention and a clear idea of what you want that to become and look like. And you only get that clarity of an idea by having experience in that space. Yeah. So it's easy to say, 0 to multi-millions in sales in 12 months. Well, no, it's based on a lot of experience of knowing what works and what doesn't work, why people succeeded, why people failed. But once you get that intention dialed in, the next part is alignment before assignment. So who you're bringing on, the different team members, you want to make sure that everybody's got a level of vision so that you don't just smack right into a glass ceiling, either from the lack of technology, the lack of the idea, or the skill set of the team. So, and again, that just comes through experience, but intention and then alignment before assignment, that's the foundation that you can build from. Just like you're building a big skyscraper, they work months, years on the foundation, and then next thing you know, it's going up like fast. Just like the Hard Rock Casino over there.
Oh, bro, yeah.
For a minute, it's like, what's happening? And they were building the foundation, and now every time I drive by it, it looks like they got another 3-4 stories done.
12 months, bro. It's like, I feel like people, they overestimate what they could do in a year. They underestimate what they could do in 5 years, right? But what you were able to do is condense time, right? We talked about alignment before assignment, and then
Intention.
So intention, right? Alignment before assignment. What does that look like in real time? Like, bro, everything's moving so fast. You have all these different departments. You have operations and sales and marketing and people, and you're dealing with all these different personalities. And at 2.5 mil, you probably had what, like 15 people, 10, 15 people?
No, most of it was myself in my pajamas.
Okay. So,
so
you created a system.
But it's also a burning desire and developing it. And then as you go along, you're attracting in the right people. A lot of businesses get in trouble because they start hiring too early or get ahead of themselves. But to be able to do a business with a clear vision, with clear intention, it's more about driving it from a leadership perspective and who you're being. So when you're being the successful version of yourself that has accomplished this, you're getting a lot done. You're pulling in the right ideas. And then when the teammates and other people come to experience what's going on, they see, wow, there's a definite, there's a certainty, there's a passion, there's a vision, and there's the momentum. And that momentum has a gravity, and it brings in the right people. So
and it deflects the wrong ones.
Yeah, and it's not about like seeking out and desperately like trying to hire and grow. It's like, we've got momentum, we're cruising. It's like a comet flying through the sky that's bright and big, and it has its own gravity, and it gets by stuff and it starts sucking things in there. Yeah. And that's what you'll see that's indicative of a lot of businesses that reach that hypergrowth, is they've got this sex appeal, this attractiveness that sucks people in. And so part of it is like the law of attraction and being intentional and seeing where you're going. Yeah. The other part of that is the magnetism that you get because success attracts success, and enthusiasm is contagious. Yeah. Some people say that sales is just the transfer of enthusiasm. So you can't fake that. You have an authentic level of enthusiasm, and the good people just show up.
Yeah, that's strong, bro. So when did you know that it was gonna work?
Before I got started.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't a question if it was gonna work or not. It's where do we put the attention and capacity. And when 100% of the people that have become a world champion knew they were going to become world champion, they didn't like trip and fall and get the belt around their waist. They were very intentional about it. So if you're going into your business uncertain that it's going to win or lose, you're probably going to lose.
I believe that too. I also was delusional enough to like know, not even think. I knew that things were going to work even before I knew enough to make things work. You know what I'm saying? Because you figure things out along the way.
Well, and there is a value of someone new and getting started, of having an ignorance on fire that is that passion. So you might not know, you don't even know what you don't know, but you've got enough ignorance on fire where you're able to get hot enough to get the momentum started. Yeah.
So you only go into brand new hyper growth industries. Why is that? And just walk me through your thought process and just focusing on those.
Yeah.
You said fresh start, right?
Yeah. Well, so it actually, this goes back all the way to 2005 when I started my marketing agency. And from being a marketing agency, I was like, this is the best business because I get to work with all the businesses, because every business needs marketing at that level. And so as a marketing agency, I naturally wanted to work with the coolest, latest, greatest stuff. So in the beginning, I didn't know it. It wasn't so intentional other than I wanted to do something that was exciting. I wasn't going to start up a marketing agency and market accounting or something. It just was boring to me. It didn't make it wasn't exciting. So I liked having the story, the sexy story of what was going on. That evolved into saying, oh, wait, there's going to be guaranteed wins. There's going to be hypergrowth industries that are, you look at them and you go, that is guaranteed going to hypergrowth win.
Yeah.
So now how can I take my skills and the marketing foundation and invest into or plug into that hypergrowth industry and then create a solution to a problem within that space. And then when you do that, then you're right at the tip of the spear. You're saying this industry is going to go huge. It's going to go parabolically in growth.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of challenges. There's going to be a lot of problems. The great thing is nobody knows what those problems and those challenges are.
So you dive in.
Let's figure it out, and then let's be the tip of the spear, creating those solutions. And then you're getting the best of you're first, you're innovating.
You're ahead of the curve.
And you're riding the wave, you're riding the momentum of something that's going to be big. So my strategy has been about being nimble and identifying those opportunities and then figuring out what novelty can I bring to that that's going to be the most valuable.
Bro, that's a beautiful way to think. And if you think like that, you'll never. Let me ask you this, actually. Have you ever entered an industry that just was like there was no angle that you found, or do you always find an angle in an industry that you choose?
I think that's just my nature, my proclivity to problem solve.
That's your superpower.
Yeah, and when there's like a task that's hands-on, once you get into an industry or space, you start learning, and you're critically thinking, trying to figure out why this industry is not going to work, and then the problems come up. So it's not about being negative or being cynical. It's about being positive on the direction that it's going
and dealing,
critically thinking about what the problems are. And then what you'll discover is that there's a ton of them. Yeah. And then which one of those problems are you uniquely equipped to work on? And which ones can you be passionate about solving?
Yeah. They say that it's 10% about what happens to you, 90% of how you react. And part of that is the mindset. Part of that is like how you approach the problem, how you assess it, and then how you work through that. And that's probably where this philosophy came from. Yesterday when we were having a conversation, you said, marry slow, fire fast, right? That also comes with some critical thinking attached to it. How do you know how to spot like a trap or a bad partner or a bad hire? Is there a certain way that you process that and then make those decisions?
Vince Lombardi used to tell his players, football players, professional athletes, that the season's over, you're going to have a bunch of time on the summer to go do your own thing. And here's the only advice. You know what's right, you know what's wrong. If it's wrong, don't do it. And there's so much intuition that we innately have. Yeah. So when going into something, those red flags are there and they're glaring. The problem is a lot of what the human condition is a reflex. So something happens, you respond in a very reflex generated way, whether it's how you think, what you say, what's going on. We're conditioned to be creatures of habit. It's what keeps us safe. It's what gets us going. Well, critical thinking and having not just a reflex reaction, but a understanding that you're going to witness that event and see it, do your very best to see it as it really is, and then take your intuition, take your knowledge, take your common sense, and say, well, that's wrong, and do it. And so you'll see that a lot of times people just go with the status quo and just go with it. And that is the opposite of what an innovator does. An innovator, a leader, sees one idea, sees another idea, forms a new idea, and then takes action on it.
So they do something. So they know how to do it later. Bro, I call it like collecting infinity stones. Everyone has like something that you could take away that you could use later on. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to learn everything the hard way. You could learn from other people. You could learn from experiences. But just getting the knowledge and storing it in a way that you could actually go back and apply it later, bro, is huge for sure.
Yeah, and look, we gain a lot of those experiences, but if you're not analyzing and assessing what's going on, you'll never learn.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I just don't like doing, I hate watching myself on camera, like watching, okay, like we record this, I just cringe at having to watch it because I don't want to. However, if you want to get better, you analyze what is going on. You watch yourself and go, I was making all these word mistakes.
Yeah.
But you don't pick that up in the moment while you're doing it. But when you watch it, you're able to make those adjustments. And then you take that experience of that and then you add it to your skill set and continually get better.
Yeah, bro. And you already have the mindset of like not taking things personal. Is this information for you? It's not good. It's not bad. Is this information? So same thing with this. What do you feel like is the thing that turns you off about watching yourself on camera? Is it because it's not perfection, or is it like you should have said something, or like what do you feel like it is?
Well, I just know what I'm going to say, or like you know, it's I don't know. It just feels redundant. It just feels like watching a rerun, really.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really like intrigue me.
Yeah.
But then I just change my perspective and say, wait, I need to look for the thing that I'm not consciously aware of, and then I can.
Yeah, and bro, it's not even for you. It's for other people. It's like for other people that this could help, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, we're creating the content, we're putting it out there. If it gets to the right person, great. If it doesn't, bro, that's none of our business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
No, and I love sharing, because if it wasn't for the fantastic mentors I had at a young age, like meeting the sales trainers, meeting these people and saying, I want to go. Can I go to the next thing? Can I volunteer? Can I do that? And I just put myself into that world of personal development in a way where I went to 30 states over 18 months, just roadieing and volunteering. But I got all the trainings for free. I got to sit in the back of the room and collect credit cards and register people. And that was like the price to gain access to amazing information, which, you know, people were paying thousands, $5,000, $25,000 to get access to these courses. I'm getting them for free because I'm volunteering and I'm there. And, you know, I was humble enough to learn. But that I feel from an education standpoint was far more valuable than what I would have been doing with that same time at my life, which was going to college.
And bro, it also doubles as an example of success. These guys are doing it. They're making all this money. You know, it's, bro, you collect those infinity stones too. So your nutritional company, this is where I was going with this. So you had to pivot 30 times in 6 years just to make sure that you could get to an exit. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, okay, I'll just tell the story.
Yeah, tell the story. Share it with the audience.
Yeah, I've been in the cannabis space for, at this point, 25 years. And in 2018, at the end of 2018, the hemp farm bill was being signed, which allowed for the first time in 100 years to grow hemp. And I go, okay, this is going to be a hyper growth industry. The hemp industry is going to hit. There's a lot of uses for hemp that matches up, and it matches up with my skill sets and experience. And I said, okay, I'm going to go into this industry and kick ass with it. And I got into it and immediately had good success and thought, oh, I'm a king of the world. And then kind of formulate these bigger ideas. And the industry had a rush, a green rush. There was all this money coming into the industry. It became hyper competitive. There was major operations scaling up. And I, you know, started just investing and going into the space. Well, there's unforeseen things that happen. Mother Nature can kick you right in the teeth. And you know, I had a massive crop and we went to harvest it, and it was torrential downpours for 25 out of 30 days. We could not get it out of the field. And once we did get it out, it was starting to freeze, and we had to dry it all, and it was molding, and you're just like, holy crap, I just took an entire summer and a fall doing this, investing crazy, and now it could all be lost. So you have to pivot. And I'm like, okay, great. I was going to grow this biomass and sell it. That was a business. Nope. Now I've got to learn how to extract this biomass, isolate the ingredients, use those ingredients into formulas, be innovative in the formulas, package the products, label the products, distribute them. So I had to go from everything from plant genetics all the way to international distribution and learn all that stuff along the way. And that was not the original plan, but it was out of necessity to take what we had and get more value from it, to do it. And it ended up leading me in a whole lot of different places, and having to pivot. And any business that you get into that's going to be hyper growth or going to be an emerging space is going to have that.
Yeah.
And I like that there's not a playbook, because it's as difficult for me as it is for everybody else, and I can outwork everybody.
Yeah, I like it. So you talk about attrition, customers dropping off, partners quitting. How do you stay motivated during those times and like stay on the mission?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be ups and downs, and having a stoicism about what you're doing and treating your operation like, a duty. Because if you get into something and you're riding the emotional highs of a win and the valleys of a defeat, and you're on this emotional roller coaster of the highs and lows, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So, and anyways, when something good happens, it's never as good as it could be, and it's never as bad as it could be. It's always somewhere in the middle. So just having a consistent, stoic attitude of performance that is your baseline. Yeah, it's not as dramatic or exciting, but it's how you weather the difficulties. Yeah. And the other key to that is compartmentalizing. So when running an enterprise, there's a lot of things that are going on. You got to compartmentalize a failure and a win, and the different things that are running at the same time. And that I think is a very valuable muscle to build.
Yeah.
Is how to compartmentalize and not dwell and sit in something that you've come to a conclusion on. The longer you sit there, and human beings do this, you'll make a mistake and then you'll beat yourself up on it for a week, a month, a year, a lifetime.
Yeah.
Just put it to bed or compartmentalize it, put it in a box,
How
and
fast
just move
can you
on.
get back to baseline?
Instantly.
Yeah. So, and I talk about this with the guys all the time. It's like never as good, never as bad. It's never good news, bad news. It's this information. So now that we have this information, we get to work through it and keep it going. So what's one thing that you used to believe back when you were first starting that now was like completely off?
So the evolution of ideas, let's think here. What would be something that I used to just be gung-ho on? I got it. So doing this, putting service first. I was taught that, hey, if you put others first and you are in service, that is a way that you're gonna guarantee success. You do enough for others, you're gonna get what you want. I'm like, that's a great piece, and that's not.
Right, it's in your culture. It's in my culture. It's Middle Eastern culture. It's community based.
It's a fun thing to believe in.
For sure.
That if I'm selfless and help everybody else, that I'm going to get what I want. You help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And that is true.
Yeah.
And I've made mistakes saying, oh, well, I'm going to do that. And I would do that at my own detriment. That, I would overextend or just do things that I didn't want to. So I changed it to
putting the oxygen mask on first.
That, but even a little bit nuanced to that even more. That my number one thing is it has to be fun. If it's not fun, I don't want to do it. And then service to others. Then, manifestation and being able to turn my thoughts into things and do that with effortless ease and do that in the most powerful way of being able to manifest a result. But it starts with having fun first, even more so than servicing others and doing all that. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but you got to take care of yourself first. And that was a clear shift in what made my life and my lifestyle just much more enjoyable, which makes everything work better.
You radiate a different energy when it is fun and when you are being fulfilled by the things that you're doing. And then that contribution to other people around you is way, way better than like someone that's depleted because he's given everything to his community or to someone else. So, yeah, bro, just put the oxygen mask on first. That way you could help other people get oxygen too. All right, so BitCove, now you're tokenizing Helium, $85 million raise. Walk me through, like, what is tokenizing Helium? I know we talked about it a little bit, but just so the audience understands. And then also, like, what does that process look like?
Well, it goes back to innovation. And this goes all the way back to 2017. I was already into Bitcoin cryptocurrency. And at that time, there was a lot of shit coins and ICOs, a lot of crap coming out. And I said, well, where's the real stuff? Where's like the real tokenization of assets? When can you have a token actually represent something that's real, that's like an asset, like an oil well or like minerals or like water rights?
Gold.
Yeah, so we started with gold, and the most vanilla form of gold, vaulted gold, like bars and coins, and just turning that into a token. Great, that was very easy. But how do we do something that has an upside? And so we did an oil well and tokenized the oil well. And when the oil derricks were pumping out oil and the trucks are driving away and we're getting paid, we pay a dividend to the token holders.
I like it.
Well, that's like how it was. That's how securities works. That's how stocks work.
Yeah.
And back then, there was no rules around what was a security and what was legal, not legal. And back then, we were illegally selling securities. It's like, oh, you can't do that. But it's taken since 2017, 2018, all the way to 2023, 2024, when tokenization now becomes accepted with the SEC, with the institutions, with the government, and so it's a classic case of being way ahead of your time. Yeah. But that's what it takes to be an innovation, and you stay with the idea. And so, yeah, tokenizing the in-ground gold was a very important thing, and leading the policy making when it comes to creating a digital asset security, recognized by top law firms, recognized by the SEC, creating a digital asset, being able to deposit it to a public company and have domestic and international audits and the SEC look at a token and say, yep, that's bankable. That's a financial instrument that we agree with. And so that it took a lot of evolution to get there, and sticking with something for 9 years, learning it and avoiding all the traps of all the Ponzi schemes and bullshit that still is a lot of the cryptocurrency industry, but always going back down to the fundamentals, that if you're doing something right and staying with it, the regulations and that opportunity, everything will intersect. Yeah. And then it was like, and people ask me, how'd you get into helium gas? And I'm like, well, we had success with the gold, and the people that own the mining, they tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, what do you know about helium? Like, I don't know anything about helium. Yeah. Turns out it's the most important element on the planet. To launch a rocket, to launch a missile, to put anything in space, all these cameras, your cell phones, they all have these advanced chips made in these photolithic factories, the semiconductors that run all the technology, that run the data centers, that run everything. They're all made in a helium pressurized environment. And if we don't have helium, the $700 billion in chip manufacturing plants that are being built right now in the United States, none of them operate. There's no substitution for helium. It takes over 1 million years in the ground in a radioactive area for helium to form. It's actually the decay of the radioactive material that is the helium. And then once helium is tapped out of the earth and hits our atmosphere, it literally floats the atmosphere and off of the planet. It's so light, it just goes into space. And it's very rare. And it's essential for all these important industries like MRIs and the space industry, the chip industry, all the fiber optics. It all requires medical research. It all requires helium. And so once discovering that, doing my due diligence, diving into it, knowing that, hey, we could be kind of super early on before the world recognizes this, and then going in and partnering up with the mining companies and setting up all the mining and everything it takes. And I don't know anything about mining. But I know what an opportunity looks like, and I know how to build teams together, and I know how to identify and work with authentic people with experience.
Yeah, bro. The process is super cool, too. You were explaining to me you have 300 sensors. You get a real-time evaluation of your account just by by the data that you collect from.
Yeah,
the,
and
from
okay,
the
so great. Helium mining's been around for 100 years. You know, they used to put blimps up there. The U.S. government has had a strategic helium reserve for 100 years. So mining helium's not new.
Yeah.
But what are ways that we can innovate in that space, and how do we get more efficient? How do we pull a helium out and get it into the highest purity and the easiest way to transfer? Once the helium's out of the ground, how do we manage the supply chain? So my supply chain management, doing the hemp and doing the ingredients, all that supply chain management and the hours of thinking in my shower and walking around thinking about how to tokenize the supply chain, we're taking all that experience and innovating and creating the way to have all the sensors report to a dashboard. Certain parts of that dashboard we'll put on a blockchain, tokenize it, and now we've got the most innovative way of how to manage helium inventory. And what do you think all the big technology companies and all these people need? They need a guaranteed supply chain it's guaranteed there, and there's no better way to see it transparently than through real-time sensors and a blockchain.
Yeah. So what part of the fundraising are you right now? Are you pretty close on some deals?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So putting together capital for a project like this, building out the data room, understanding the mining, understanding how things get built, what the cash flow is, building out the financial models, all of that stuff requires expertise, expert knowledge, and real-time work. So that is the actual work of doing it. Then structuring. So I'll tell you, raising capital for anything, for any business endeavor, probably the hardest thing to do in business, because when you're worthy of capital, you don't need it.
Yeah,
but when you need it and you're in the startup, that's the hardest time to get it, because the idea is not proven. So, yeah, having to structure, and when you're raising hundreds of millions of dollars, there are so many things that the different institutions and groups are going to want to see. And why raising capital can be one of the most difficult things in business is because the golden rule, the one with the gold makes the rules. And so you're saying, hey, we're looking for capital for this project. Well, the people with the money, they're going to want to dictate the rules. So it's like a dance in getting the structuring right so that it's a win-win for the mining partners, us as sponsors, the investors, the vendors. And so the artwork is creating a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, I like it. And what does a win-win look like there? Is it, so who do you gather the money from? Is it like big VC companies? Is it private, like where are you getting the money? Private investors?
It's everything from government contracts. The government is investing into strategic minerals. Helium's recently been added to that list. But it's also, family offices, hedge funds, individual.
Whoever wants a piece.
Yeah, individual, wealthy investors. And then there's also, financial instruments, bonds and sukuks and other ways to attract in the capital. And they all have their little nuances of how you're able to accept money from overseas or domestically. And there's a lot in the tax strategy. So, that's a pretty loaded question on how you have to get there. But you get in, you learn, and when you're being the right person and you're authentic, you're earnest, you're passionate, you'll attract in. So there's no way I would know this stuff or be able to build a team of such strong capital partners and teammates that have done this already, that have raised billions, tens of billions of dollars, and have been in this space. And so everything that you want in life is going to come from other people. What is going to be the determining factor if those people want to work with you or not is who are you being? And always focusing in on how I'm showing up and how am I being, and being intentional. That is going to be the most important determining factor no matter what business you're in, what relationship you're in, and it all starts with the inner work.
Yeah, be that person, do the things required, and then you have. Do have. Let's go. All right, cool. So we're going to wrap this up, but I want to, just for those entrepreneurs that are stuck under their first million, what would you say to them?
Well, the key thing is find the thing that gets you passionate about getting up and doing the work, because if the difficulty outweighs your passion, then you're not going to be able to succeed. So having the why, that burning desire, why you're involved in this industry or this project, or having that why that is that deep burning desire within yourself, that is the fuel that's going to get you through the difficult times. Because if you're doing anything of significance, it's going to be difficult. Because if it was easy, everybody else would be doing it, and there would be no opportunity. So having an attitude of doing the difficult thing, and then having the spirit and the purpose that will drive you through the mud pit and on to the other side into the promised land, that's going to be that's actually what I look for when working with teammates and working with people. It's like, what's really driving this person? Because when stuff gets hard, is that when they break down, or do they clamp down? And when you are working with people, I want to see them in the most difficult situation and how they handle it. Not when it's easy. When it's easy to put a smile on and be charismatic and charming and all that. When shit's hitting the fan, who are you then? How do you treat your teammates then? How do you dig into work then? When stuff gets hard, do you take a nap, or do you like double down and put in the extra work? Yeah. So
100%, bro. And where could people follow your journey, the different projects that you're involved in?
Yeah, sure. I'm Charles Moy. You can find me out there. I'll put up the Sky Level website for the brand, Bitkove, bitkove.com, if you want to look at digital asset securities. But, part of this also, I'm looking for the right teammates to build all the social followings and all that stuff. Because there are consumer brands and stuff that will probably need that.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And we can connect after that. Our motto is record once, sell forever, and it's very aligned on your whole philosophy. We assess, we decide what the plan is, we plan it out, and then we execute. So it's great having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming here last minute, bro. We were on a call last night? We made it happen today.
Yeah,
so,
I'm leaving the country.
He makes it happen,
I'm leaving
bro.
the country for a couple of weeks, and it's like, all right,
we got to squeeze it in.
Do
So
it.
I appreciate you, fitting us in your schedule. So let's make it happen.
Yep.